People, Deluded, I'm back again. Now, you've all saw last night, Mikel Arteta's role at Arsenal has changed, people. He's gone from being a head coach to the first team manager now. I can't imagine too many of his roles change, but it confirms what we already know in writing. He's technically the first successor now in that position to Wenger. It tells us what we know. First and foremost, in that it's still early days for Arteta. But there's a healthy bit of confidence around him, the way he prepares, the way he speaks, the way he is with players. He speaks with conviction. He speaks like a man that's prepared for this, which people before him couldn't say the same, Emery. So there's that. It further confirms he's getting more control, I guess, over things, not necessarily to do with being a head coach. So more than just dealing with the players on the field, he's dealing with transfers now, and there's probably other things his assistants will be needed. Obviously, his first role is all first team affairs, but for me, this screams, more duties. If you're giving people more duties, you've got more confidence in them. You've got more confidence in their long-term project. And obviously, when you consider the structural changes that have happened at Arsenal as well, this makes sense. I'm fully prepared for this, man. Like I said, for me, I always urge caution with Arteta, because I gas him a lot. I'm a bit. You lot listen to me. It's no secret. I love Arteta. I think he's going to be the manager for us. If he, I still think there's a lot to learn about him. We actually don't know we know what he's good at. Like, he's a good tactician. He changes things. He gives confidence to players. But we haven't seen a prolonged period of time, which this will be his first season, to see what he truly is good at, what he's truly bad at, what he struggles at. He's human and he's learning this role. He will make mistakes over a course of a season. But I think with all of this considered, he's the man to at least move us to get in top four, trying to get top four, moving in that direction. He's actually got a 24-year-old on his books, on part of the coaching stuff, and he might even be a successor to him. I mean, he's 24 and he's an individual coach at Arsenal with the first team players. I'm 25 in my bedroom talking to you guys, hopelessly trying to make it on YouTube. So it tells us where our lives are at. But in relation to Arteta, like I said, urge caution, because we don't know what he's good and bad at. We don't know long term if he's going to be a success here. But I feel, what he's shown me, considering he's got no significant experience beyond being an assistant to Pep, he's shown me enough to at least back him. If there's ever a future where he's not doing right with a bad bit of form like Emery, we'll revisit it. But it further confirms to me that this is the guy, really and truly, with that. We already know he was getting more hands-on in terms of transfers, so in hindsight this change was to come. But like I said, I urge caution with Arteta, because I gas him. I think he's the man to get us top four. I think I like him. I think he's an Arsenal man. He reflects all our values well. Away from that and disregarding Arsenal, what I wanted to see from a manager is conviction in your ideas. Like, even if Emery wasn't, like you see with Jose, man say he's bare negative and things, and that might be true, but at least you can criticise him for being negative football, because that's what he's showing you. Emery, I didn't know what he's showing me. He's trying to do half and half and all of these things, so I didn't know what he stood for. He didn't have conviction in his ideas. I didn't know what he stood for. I didn't know his principles. I'm not going to say Emery weren't tactically flexible, because he did try a thing, but I think Arteta has the balance of trying to do the tactical flexible stuff with obviously trying to be on the front foot. Like, you look at the last few big games we've won, yes, we've conceded a lot of possession and we've been hanging on, but when we've got the ball, we've tried to do things. Against City, we didn't have large possessions of the ball, but just going on the highlights, we popped them. Look at that goal. What was it? Who's finished it? Aubameyang? Where Lack and everyone was involved, from the goalkeeper to front. These sort of things were installed instantly from Arteta. You could see the building blocks. You couldn't see that under Emery. You was kind of forcing yourself to see that. Like I said, if Arteta shows he's not the guy in the future, then he's not the guy. I think fans in general, there's too much agendas. You are either pro Arteta, or there's some man and some people that they didn't want Arteta from the start, so he can never do well, when all that matters is this, we praise and critique. I'm happy with this man, with my captain allegedly signing his new deal, with centre-halves coming in, with a manager I believe in. Like, I can go to work from Monday to Friday, on a Saturday, Sunday when we're playing, look forward to a degree to watch my team. That's what I wanted to see. But the official statement has said, Mikel Arteta's job title has changed from head coach to first team manager. Mikel's been here since the end of December, and the last 9 months have probably been the most challenging 9 months in Arsenal's history. And we've been around for 134 years. Despite all those challenges, Mikel has been driving this football club forward. That was Vinay Venkatesham. Can never say his name. Apologies. Especially my apologies to my fans of Indian heritage. I'm not trying to disrespect him. genuinely poor with names. That's why you consistently hear me say Vinay. But that's what Vinay had to say initially. He said, he has lifted the spirits and lifted the energy here at London Coley. With the fans all across the world, he's doing an absolutely phenomenal job. The other thing that is clear is that right from day one he walked through the door, he was doing much more than being a head coach. And to be fair, when you hear how, you know, how he, how he's dealt with bus stops at the club, how he's been, you know, dealing with the redundancies, the wage cuts, all of these sort of things, the whole speech about non-negotiables, he has been that, you know, he's very much Wenger's son. So, you know, he's been doing all of these things. It's only natural that his job role changes and officially reflects that. He said, so yeah, and it is true, literally since he's come through the door. So we're going to be changing his title going forward. He'll move from head coach to be first team manager. That's recognition of what he's been doing from the day he walked in the door, but also where we see his capabilities. He's doing a great job of coaching the first team, and that's his primary responsibility. But there is so much more that he can bring, and that's why we're making this change in recognition of his capabilities and also the job that he's doing. And when you consider Edu's more hands-on, when you consider, I know Mertesackers with the academy, but I assume Mertesackers going to start, chopping up the roles and doing sort of things for both. And there might be other individuals. I'm all for this. Pardon me. It said, so in terms of how that will work going forward, Mikel will join a really strong team with Edu, and they're working really, really closely together to manage all other elements of our football operations that are so important, whether that be analysis, recruitment, high performance or medical. Now, obviously, Mikel Arteta is a coach. You can't be a specialist of everything. As a football coach, you can't even be a world-class analyst because you don't have time to watch several things. Like, I guarantee you, Pep Guardiola is a very good analyst, but he will never call himself a world-class one. There's no way Arteta can be a great football coach as at the top of the top with recruitment, the top of the top with analysis, and with high performance and medical. He can know a bit about it all, like Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger he weren't a doctor, but he knew, you know, stop eating ketchup and do several things. So he can offer his input with that. He can offer his input into analysis. He can offer his input into all of this. Do you get? And he does. I'm not saying he doesn't have a high knowledge of these things, but again, specialist. You know, how much years it takes to be a specialist in one of these things. But his expertise and his opinions are valued, and his collaboration things, you know. And what I like is he seems to be a good person when it comes to reading people and stuff like that. So I think he'd be good at that. And obviously, when you've got a manager who's a young man and you want him here long term, and you've got Edu, who wasn't the oldest, Mertesacker, and with the exception, I don't know how old Vinay is, but this screams long term project. You're going to be here long term. So if they're all going to be here long term, they should all to a degree have a say or be involved in what we do moving forward, people. So yeah, man, they'll manage all them areas together. And he said, and they will also together be responsible for our technical recommendation, whether that's players that we're going to buy, whether that's players that we're going to sell, whether that's players that we're going to loan. And obviously this is all in collaboration with a loan manager, for example, etc. He said, of course, working with me and the board and working closely with the owner on financial elements to make a final decision. But those are going to be their responsibilities. And I think we're going to have a really dynamic team to drive this club forward. So yeah, man, congratulations to Arteta on this unofficial promotion, and it further confirms the confidence the club have in the man. Things can change, you know. Emery was about to get a new deal, and then he was sacked a few weeks ago later. I'm not saying that's going to be Arteta, you know. Please don't misunderstand anything I'm saying. I'm just urging caution, you know. As much as I believe in Arteta and I sing his praises and I like him and I'm pro Arteta and always with the propaganda, he's been here 9 months, you know. 9 months isn't going to decide if we're going to be a successful club, you know. And all that matters in the grand scheme of things is what happened when he walked in, what happened when he walked out. Everything in between is all wishy-washy. But on that note, I've got nothing more to add, so I'm going to get out of here. It's always a pleasure. DG.